The Lernout and Hauspie case is a classic example of corporate fraud that shocked the financial world and led to the collapse of what was once a leading technology company. Lernout and Hauspie Speech Products L&H was founded in 1987 by Joe Lernout and Paul Hauspie in the small town of Yper, Belgium. The company specialized in speech recognition and language translation software, an area of technology that was both innovative and highly sought after during the 1990s. At the time, advancements in speech recognition were beginning to attract significant interest, as companies and consumers envisioned a future where computers could seamlessly interact with users through natural language. Lernout and Hauspie positioned itself as a pioneer in this space. The company quickly gained traction by developing cutting-edge software that caught the attention of investors and customers alike. By the mid-1990s, L&H had grown into a global leader in its field, leveraging its innovative technology to secure lucrative partnerships with major corporations, including Microsoft. To further solidify its dominance, L&H pursued an aggressive growth strategy, acquiring numerous competitors and complementary companies to expand its product portfolio and market reach. This strategy paid off in the short term, as the company's revenue and market value soared. At its peak, Lernout and Hauspie was a publicly traded company listed on both the NASDAQ and ESDAQ stock exchanges, boasting a market capitalization of over $10 billion. The late 1990s were a period of immense excitement and optimism for the technology sector, particularly during the dot-com boom. Investors were eager to pour money into tech companies with high growth potential, and L&H was no exception. Its stock price skyrocketed as investors viewed the company as a trailblazer in an emerging field with virtually unlimited potential. The company's founders, Joe Lernout and Paul Hauspie, became celebrated figures in the technology and business world, embodying the entrepreneurial spirit of the era. They promised a future where voice-activated technology would revolutionize industries ranging from customer service to healthcare, further fueling investor enthusiasm. However, beneath the surface of this success story lay a deeply troubling reality. Despite its outward growth, L&H faced significant challenges in maintaining the level of revenue and profitability it had promised to investors. To bridge the gap between its ambitious claims and its actual performance, the company began engaging in fraudulent practices. Central to the fraud was the fabrication of revenue, a tactic that involved creating fictitious sales through a network of shell companies. These shell companies, many of which were located in South Korea, were used to generate fake transactions that inflated L&H's financial statements. By reporting these false revenues, the company was able to give the appearance of consistent growth, which in turn bolstered its stock price and attracted additional investment. The fraudulent activities at L&H were extensive and involved multiple layers of deception. In addition to creating fictitious sales, the company engaged in practices such as backdating contracts and recognizing revenue for deals that had not yet been finalized or were unlikely to materialize. These tactics made it appear as though the company was achieving remarkable success in securing new business, when in reality, much of its reported revenue was entirely fabricated. The company's auditors, KPMG, were responsible for reviewing and verifying its financial statements, but they failed to detect or report the irregularities. This failure of oversight allowed the fraud to continue unchecked for several years. By 2000, cracks began to appear in the facade of Lernout and Hauspie's success. Analysts and journalists started questioning the company's financial statements, noting discrepancies and raising concerns about the authenticity of its reported revenue. These concerns prompted investigations by regulators, which ultimately uncovered the extent of the fraud. It was revealed that hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue had been fabricated, and many of the company's reported clients did not exist. The revelations sent shockwaves through the financial world, as investors realized that the company's meteoric rise had been built on a foundation of lies. The fallout from the scandal was swift and devastating. In November 2000, Lernout and Hauspie filed for bankruptcy, becoming one of the largest corporate collapses in Europe at the time. The company's stock, once a darling of the tech sector, became worthless, wiping out billions of dollars in shareholder value. Investors who had placed their faith in the company's vision for the future were left with significant losses. The scandal also had a chilling effect on the broader technology industry, as it raised questions about the reliability of financial reporting and the integrity of corporate leadership in the sector. Legal consequences followed for the individuals involved in the fraud. Joe Lernout and Paul Hauspie, along with other top executives, faced criminal charges for their roles in orchestrating the fraudulent activities. In 2010, a Belgian court convicted them of fraud, fraudulent accounting, and misleading investors. They received prison sentences and were ordered to pay fines, although the financial and reputational damage to the company and its stakeholders could never be fully undone. Despite the collapse of Lernout and Hauspie as a company, its technology did not disappear entirely. During bankruptcy proceedings, the company's valuable assets, including its speech recognition technology, were acquired by Nuance Communications, a competitor in the field. Nuance went on to become a leading player in the speech technology market, and some of L&H's innovations continued to influence the development of voice-activated systems in subsequent years. The Lernout and Hauspie case remains a cautionary tale in the world of business and finance. It highlights the dangers of unchecked corporate greed, the importance of robust oversight, and the need for transparency and accountability in financial reporting. For investors, it serves as a reminder to exercise due diligence and critically evaluate the claims of companies, particularly those that promise rapid growth in emerging industries. For companies, it underscores the importance of maintaining ethical practices and prioritizing long-term sustainability over short-term gains. In hindsight, the case of Lernout and Hauspie also illustrates the vulnerabilities of the technology sector during periods of rapid innovation and market enthusiasm. The dot-com boom created an environment where companies were under immense pressure to demonstrate exponential growth, often at the expense of ethical considerations. While L&H was not the only company to falter during this period, its dramatic rise and fall stand out as a particularly stark example of how ambition and greed can lead to catastrophic consequences. Today, the story of Lernout and Hauspie is studied as a classic example of corporate fraud and serves as a warning to business leaders, investors, and regulators alike. It demonstrates the importance of vigilance and integrity in ensuring that the pursuit of innovation does not come at the cost of ethical business practices.